Hello everyone, my name is Eric and I'm the developer of an upcoming action platforming game called GB Rover, which is a game about shooting your bosses and generally fighting for a bigger world. The game is going to come out in a few months, so you'll have to wait a little bit until you can buy it. However, it is possible to wishlist the game on Steam, and I would very much appreciate if you would do that. The link for the Steam page or to the Steam page is in the video description, as well as a bunch of other stuff where you can follow me and follow the development and all that kind of stuff. Also, just as a reminder, the Steam summer sale is still going on for I think the next 2 or 3 days, when this video is coming up. So if you haven't checked out my other commercial game, Splinter Zone, which is also an action platforming game, but more like an arcadey sort of roguelike-ish kind of thing. I really don't like calling it like that because it wasn't intended to be like that kind of game, but most people call it that, so well, okay. Anyway, if you're interested in those kinds of games, Splinter Zone is kind of a good fun time when you're looking especially at score attack platformers with weird secrets and all kind of stuff. It's currently 50% off on Steam during the summer sale for the next few days still, which is around €2 or $2.50 if I have the price is correct, and which is preposterously cheap in my eyes, and I would very much appreciate it if you could buy it, because I'm this close to getting another payout from Steam, and $100 right now would be very good for various reasons and money spending stuff. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about what I did the previous week, what I had planned doing the previous week, what I actually ended up doing in the previous week, and what I have planned to do this week in terms of making GB Rover and things I have to keep in mind. And it's a bit of an interesting thing. So would be good if I could activate the window here, and also maybe have not the mouse pointer on the screen. Anyway, so last week I had planned the following things: add achievements to the game, because that's the thing that is currently preventing the game to be accepted on Steam, or the build of the game to be accepted on Steam. The game is playable and all that, but when I say I have achievements in the game, I need to have them implemented if I submit a build to Steam, which I haven't done so far, and this is what is still left for me to do. I wanted to finish GB Rover's pitch deck and practice the pitch, because I had a thing on Friday where I was supposed to practice it in front of someone and show them that I can do this, and if I had enough time, implement the other Steam submission feedback. That's what was planned to do this week. This is what I actually did. I did start the achievement implementation, but right now it's only the stuff that I had to do on Steam's backend. So I had to set up a bunch of achievement names and icons and descriptions and all that, but I haven't really started putting the achievements in the actual game so far, which isn't that big of a deal, because I've someone brought to my attention something that what I should keep in mind when I do this, for possible console ports of the game, which I am trying to do in some way. So it's not that big of a problem that I haven't done it so far, but it's something that I wanted to do, but it turned out last week was incredibly busy for a lot of reasons, and I didn't get around to it. I did finish the pitch deck. I did practice the pitch quite a lot. I managed to get the pitch duration down from 20 minutes of rambling to about 8 to 10 minutes of actually substantial content provision in some way. Also, that's the for some reason my monitor didn't update, but it did update. Sometimes these Google presentations are strange. Anyway, so this is what I did. I did after I finished the pitch deck. Oh, by the way, this is just as a thing. If you're a small developer with not a lot of resources and you need someone professional to give you feedback on stuff like marketing assets, or how to pitch your video game, or what is it that you could do with your game in some way, I can only recommend that you get in touch with Rami Ismail, formerly of Lambier, not like not anymore, because he does offer like short consulting sessions that last around like 15 to like 30 minutes or so. And he also offers the possibility to do them for free if you don't have enough money, which I did because I'm poor. And it's nice to see people saying that they offer affordable things that are actually affordable and not affordable in the sense of only people with lots of money can afford them. So that was really great. He like took a lot of time to walk me through this stuff. Like, I actually only wanted to talk to him about okay, this is what I want to do with marketing. Is there something else I had to keep in mind? And like roughly just like, oh yeah, and I also maybe want to like try and find people to port this game to consoles with. And he actually took like, only wanted to have one session. We ended up having 3, and like he suggested doing like a pitch deck and like walking me through the pitch and like giving suggestions and all that. And that was like incredibly helpful, and I'm very grateful for that, because it really helped me like not only in like building this pitch deck and gaining confidence in that regard, because talking about like, especially like thinking about your game in such a way that you want to like present it to other people is kind of rough for me, because I never really thought about my games in that way. Like I never really considered the question, okay, how would I like build something or like formulate something in the sense of, okay, this is why you should care about my game, when I usually only make the games because I care about them. And like finding ways where like the stuff that I care about like can be extrapolated in a way that it could be seen in a way, okay, and this is also why you should care about that. And so it like making this pitch deck not only helped me, but making a pitch deck and having now like basically prepared pitch for the case that I should like contact publishers and whatever, and it comes to that point, but also like having a better understanding of how to communicate my game or communicate what GB Rover is to other people. And also to some degree also like thinking about, okay, what are things that a kid could still add to this game that would like emphasize certain points that are important to me. So that helped quite a lot. So I did that, and after I finished the pitch deck, I realized, wait a second, now I have a pitch deck. Now I need to find publishers to pitch this to. So this was like yesterday on Sunday evening, after like going on a very long walk and thinking about like all this kind of different stuff. I started a list with indie game publishers that I want to contact. It's still not conclusive, but in general, like while I was doing this, I had the idea of maybe trying to create a very extensive spreadsheet with this information, and then like kind of putting it out in a semi-public manner also, so that people who would like to contact publishers who have small games, who would like to contact publishers like for help, have like an easy way to find this information. This was just like an idea that I had yesterday. Have to see how comfortable I would be with this thought, but like in general, like right now, if someone needs a list with at least like a handful, like right now I have about 10, I'm pretty sure there are more out there, and I'll keep looking. If someone wants to have at least a list with potential indie game publishers and like how to contact them and where to contact them, get in touch, and I can send you over like a link to the document. But I'll try to maintain it and like extend it to some degree, so that maybe it could become some kind of public resource. But that was just like an idea that I had. Anyway, I did start the list. I also made a list of possible events that I could both like attend, because most of them are virtual still, which is fine. I don't have to pay travel costs, for example, but also like where I could submit GB Rover to, because that's again like I have to find ways, okay, how do I get in touch with people so that I can actually pitch GB Rover, which is probably, to some degree, at least for me, the harder part. Like I can build something like a pitch if I have enough time to prepare, because I'm not really afraid to talk about the stuff that I do. Where I have more problem with is like contacting people because I need help. That's always the bigger issue with my stuff. So that's still like something where I have to see, okay, how do I do this? This is like something that's planned for this week. But anyway, the other thing that I did this week is, and this was again yesterday, I resisted the urge to make the game larger, because this is partially to like what I also did over the week, which is like I added more feedback to the movement system, which you can see here. This is, by the way, also the result, or like part of the stuff that I did during like this week's development stream that I did over on Twitch. I haven't uploaded the archive yet to this channel, but I will do this once I finish this video. I kind of forgot yesterday. It was like the weekend was really very busy for me, because I was making croissants and I was making very elaborate bread, and like I was like the Saturday was completely like full of rolling out dough and folding dough and like forming dough and like doing lots of stuff with different doughs, and also cleaning up the mess that I created in the kitchen in the process. So there wasn't that much time to make more or like upload the video. I completely forgot about that, but I do have it. I just have to upload it, and everything is fine. But anyway, I added more feedback to the movement system, and a thing I realized while I was making this is that I kind of like started to wish there was more in the game where you could like just more game there that you could play, because like playing the game is really fun, and that and like looking up publishers led to a cascade where I was thinking, okay, what could I do to maybe make the game larger? I could make 4 more levels and like make it like a whole size Mega Man like game with 8 boss fights and all that. I also have like a rough idea how you could do that, but no. This is like, I have plans for like a potential either like an extension of the game or whatever, but I'm not planning on doing this, because the game, like, this is what I set out to make, and I'm not going to extend stuff just because, like, just to have more content. Like, this is also like a thing where I have to judge for myself how much is this game worth putting more energy into, and I have to be really have to restrict myself to some degree, because otherwise, like, this thing will never get out. Like, this game never was meant to be the game that will vault me out of poverty, so to speak. This game was first and foremost for me meant as a way for me to first prove to myself that I can still make commercial video games and like larger projects, because I haven't done that in years, and like getting through like burnout, depression and all that stuff that I did over the last few years, and just to prove myself that I can actually do this, and that I can do this without destroying myself. So that was the first thing. The other thing is just like as a way for me to practice being more expressive and outgoing about the work that I did. It's not as much about, okay, I really have to get GB Rover onto consoles. It's more like, I want to use this game as a way to practice trying to get there, that at some point I can get a game onto a console. So, and like contact publishers and like be able to deal with this kind of stuff, because that's what I have to learn to some degree if I want to keep doing this and potentially make enough money so that I don't get welfare anymore. So that's like that's where I have to like kind of adjust myself, like my expectations a little bit, and don't get too far ahead of myself. I have these like very rough outlines and plans for like extra levels and all that stuff, but I'm going to make this very dependent on like what resources do I get, like how much interest there even is from publishers and all that, and then I decide. And there's always the chance and like potential for, oh, let's do a sequel to some degree at a later point, and then I can like use these ideas anyway. So it's not that I'll never do these things. It's more like not now, and like also not like trying not to think about this stuff right now, because now is not the time for that. There's also like the risk of running into these things where you start, and this is like, I'm pretty sure is like part of an ADHD thing, but also like general like anxiety about finishing something, where you get very close to like doing the last important steps, and you get very scared about like actually putting the thing out that you have, and then you start wondering, is this actually enough game in there? Is there enough content in there that people would be satisfied, or is it not enough? And like, it's also a confidence thing in that regard. Like, for me to say, no, this is enough, I'm not going to put more out there just for the sake of it. And this is like, again, this is like the important part here, where you have to like really think about, okay, what exactly is your motivation here to say, okay, I add more stuff to this game? Is this actually because you feel like this is what you need to do right now, or is it more like because you kind of want to avoid having to deal with things like implementing achievements, making sure that like the technical requirements are met, making sure that you do like your PR and your marketing correctly and all that, and like all of these other extra stuff is like kind of would be a good excuse. For example, it would be a good excuse for me to say, oh, I decided like I wanted to add 4 more levels and like 2 more extra final stages and like a few more boss fights to the game, because then it would mean that I could push the release back at least another 6 months, so that I wouldn't have to deal with trying to pitch this game to publishers right now, trying to find ways to maybe port the game to consoles, market the game, trying to build a press list, building a press email list, and also like confronting myself with the potential of how well this game will do commercially in the end. I could like just decide to add more stuff to this, and then basically postpone like confronting myself with these questions and these problems that I have to deal with right now, because the game is done. Because I can simply say, no, the game isn't done, I decided to do more stuff. So this is like something where you have to be careful about, and where I'm like very much like where it's like very, very easy for me to say, oh, I want to add more stuff, because you could make an argument, because like playing the game feels incredibly good. Like, I have a lot of fun just moving through the game, and I think there's something where I think I wish there was a bit more there that I could just run through. But this is like why I wanted to build this endless attack mode, so that you have this. And building the endless attack mode is much, 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 much easier for me. I would not, because first of all, I can do this after the game is done. I can reuse all of the assets that I've already built. I don't have to build anything new for this. So it's much, much easier for me to do, basically put more like space for you to run through and like play with that way, without having to basically push the launch back for another 5 to 6 months or whatever. So yeah, anyway, this is like part of like the problem that I had, or like the issue that I had yesterday. Again, I went on a very long walk, and like it's like while I was starting my walk, it was on the okay, I could do that, I could do this and that, and like I would add this to the pitch in such and such way or whatever. And as I was like turning the corner back into the street where my apartment was, I was thinking, no, you should not do that. Like, the interesting part is I had like basically the same kind of thought process, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months ago. So it's like it'll come back over and over again, but I'll try to stay the course with this one and just accept the things the way they are, and I can always do stuff later at some point. I have plans for like what I would like to do with GB Rover after it's done, but this is really has to depend on how well the game's doing, how I'm feeling about everything, and how everything else looks like, and not really trying to make plans before I can safely guess how things are going, I guess. So that's like where I was at. Now let's talk about this week. Took me only 20 minutes to get there. So what I want to do this week: first of all, upload the last development stream, because I haven't done that. Then I want to create a script that implements the achievements into GB Rover in such a way that you could easily do this platform agnostically. That's kind of like the suggestion that Rami had, because obviously if you were to port it to I don't know, Xbox or PlayStation, who knows, just in case this would happen, I don't think it will, but just in case, having like a platform agnostic achievement script where you could basically just change the thing where it like communicates to, would make porting this stuff much easier than like having like Steam achievements basically hard-coded into this. So that's kind of this. Then I wanted to start submitting GB Rover to like some game festivals. Basically right now just one, because I found one that has like basically that open up submissions today. There's another one that I could submit GB Rover to, but that would require me to pay a submission fee that is fairly high, and the problem with submission fees is very often you basically pay to get a chance to get accepted into the festival, and if you don't get accepted, it's basically, yeah, sure, you just barfed out $200 for nothing, and I don't have the funds to just barf out $200 for nothing. I could barf out $200, but I would have to get something in return. That's the one thing. I want to create like further create assets that I could send over to publishers for like first contact stuff, like a folder with like like the most recent build of a game, like some graphical assets, a trailer and all that stuff, so that people can easily take a look at everything. And the last thing that I want to do for this week is figure out if I want to get a ticket for GDC. I saw that the tickets for the Independent Development Summit or whatever cost only $250, which I could afford. I can't afford the higher tier passes, which is go from like $700 upwards to $2,000, I think. I don't know. Like, but $250 I could afford. GDC is like this July, I think. This July, like in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, I think it starts. Like it's online, which means I could attend it because I wouldn't have to travel to San Francisco, which I couldn't afford. So there's an argument to be made to like get a ticket, but I really have to make sure that like I'm getting something out of this, either in terms of like getting contact again to like people that could help me get a foot into like the door, like to some degree, or with like, oh, this is like a bunch of very interesting stuff that I would like be able to access and see and talk to people and whatever. Because again, I can't afford to just throw out $250. There has to be something like substantial for me to get in return, and if I don't get this in return, I know, like, I'm not like this thing, like GDC runs at like West Coast time in the US, so I would have to ruin my sleep schedule for a week, and if I ruin my sleep schedule for a week, then it has to be for more than just me being grumpy at a bunch of like very bad business talks, which I saw in the program. There's a bunch of stuff where just by seeing the abstract, I was like, oh my god, please no. So I have to make sure that it's for more than just me being incredibly grumpy and sleep deprived. And I still haven't figured that out. I'll try to make a decision this week, because getting a ticket and all that, I don't know if it's limited quantity or whatever, but I'd like to make a decision now and stick with it. So that's that. That's like basically everything that I had planned for this week. And God, this presentation looks very strange on my end. It's basically scrolling through like 3 slides every frame. It's very irritating, but it's great how it's not visible on the recording. It's funny, but it's very, very irritating. Anyway, this is what I have planned for the week. I was planning on having these a bit shorter, but it's again 25 minutes, and if I'm not careful, it's even longer. Anyway, so that's what I have planned for the week. We'll have to see how much I get done. This week is also kind of busy, not as busy as last week, but there's still like some stuff like outside of me making games that I have to take care of. But aside from that, as always, this is where you can find me on the internet. You can follow @Mokograd on Twitter, twitter.com/Mokograd, where you get more updates or like more constant, like almost daily updates on how the game's doing and all that kind of stuff. You can subscribe to the email newsletter that I have that is more like for larger, more like substantial updates, which I'm not using all that often, but like it's also something that you obviously can subscribe to this channel. Follow my Twitch channel if you want to see me like working on the game and doing that kind of stuff, and occasionally streaming something else. Also keep in mind that still Splinter Zone, my other commercial game, is like for the next few days 50% off. All these links will also be in the video description, so don't worry about that. You can also go over there. Splinter Zone 50% off would be cool to like. I think I only need to sell a handful more copies and I'll definitely get a payout. So that would be great. And also of course, please wishlist GB Rover and tell your friends to wishlist GB Rover. The game is pretty good. Like, really. I'm very critical of platforming games, and obviously I'm biased because I'm making this game and I'm very used to everything. But it's definitely up there in terms of like, just like in terms of how the control feels and how the game overall feels to play once they're really into it. And very proud of the state it's in, and I think it can still be better. And anyway, it's a good one, I think, and I'm very proud of it, and it would be great if more people would know about it, because I think it's something that folks would be interested. So yeah, please wishlist it, tell other people to wishlist it, and all that other stuff, I guess. And aside from that, I see you next week. Bye.